Hey friends, welcome or welcome back to my channel. My name is Victoria and today we are going to be talking about Kindle Unlimited and the books that I want to read on there. So I have a Kindle Unlimited subscription. It is through Amazon where readers can check out up to 20 books into their Kindle Unlimited library and download them onto their Kindle. It's a monthly subscription and you can read as many books as you want, but you can only have 20 downloaded at a time. And I have currently 15 downloaded onto my Kindle that I have not read yet that I really want to. So this is going to be my Kindle Unlimited TBR. Okay, first I am very sorry if you can hear the construction that's going on next door. My neighbors are putting in a pool and it's very loud. So I'm really sorry if you can hear all the banging and people talking outside. I tried my best to make it as quiet in here as possible. Okay, so I have 15 books downloaded on my Kindle and I am going to go through and share them with you guys. So the first one that I have downloaded is Soul Eater by Lily Main. This one is an paranormal romance and I heard Jen from the Book Refuge talking about it a couple of months ago at this point, and I immediately downloaded it and it has been on my Kindle ever since, and I really want to get to it. It is hard though because it does not have an audiobook. A lot of these don't have audiobooks. So it might take me like a really long time to get through these, but they're ones that I really want to. And so these are like my priority ones. That's why they're downloaded right now. And honestly, I don't know a whole lot about a lot of these. I get my recommendations from other YouTubers or other ones that I see people talking about, and I'll download them. So I only know small things about each one of them, so I'm really sorry about that. But I do like to go into my books not knowing a whole lot, so I only know certain things about them. And what I know about this one is that Jen liked it. It's which I love, and it's paranormal, which sounds really cool. So the second one that I have downloaded is Unconditional by QB Tyler. I have started reading QB Tyler in the last month or so. I am in love with Second Semester by QB Tyler and I really want to continue reading from her. I think I've read 3 books by her and all of them were novella length. So this one is actually like a full-length book, and I really want to get to it. QB Tyler writes taboo romances, and so this one is taboo. I believe that this one is age gap. I know that it's forbidden and taboo, and I believe that the hero is like super protective of the heroine, if I remember correctly. But I know that many people have read this and really enjoyed it. One being McKay from Oh Hey It's McKay. She really loved this book, and I know that Jess has also read it and liked it. So I definitely want to read more from QB Tyler, so I have this one downloaded. It's the one that's most interesting to me, but unfortunately it's one that does not have an audiobook, so that sucks for me, but I very much want to read it, so it is a priority TBR. Then the next one is one that I actually included on my TBR video for June and didn't get to, and that is Lola and the Millionaires by Catherine Moon. This one is a Omegaverse reverse harem, and I have read some of the other books in the same series as Lola and the Millionaires, Baby and the Late Night Howlers and Bad Alpha being 2 that I've read, and I really enjoyed them. I really like Catherine Moon's writing. She writes the best reverse harems that I've read, and I really want to read this one. And this one is one that does have an audiobook, and I believe that this is also in 2 parts, so the one that I have downloaded is part 1. The next one is the Braai Bribe by Will and Nash. Will and Nash is Devney Perry's pen name, and I really like some of Devney Perry's books. I have found some really good gems, but there have been some that are not so much my favorite, but I've heard that Will and Nash is her Will and Nash pen name. His books are really good, so I want to read this whole series, whatever it is, and attempt some from her pen name. I also know that Devney Perry is going to be at the book signing that I'm going to in Las Vegas, so I want to try and read some of her books before that book signing so that I can have her sign some books that I like of hers. I believe that this one is Small Town. I think it takes place in Montana. A lot of Devney Perry's books do, and I think that the hero is the sheriff. And I think that they meet in some sort of like hiking adventure. So that's all I know about it, but I'm intrigued and I want to read it. And this one does have an audiobook. Then the next one that I have is Breaking the Speed Limit by Melanie Moreland. This is the second book in the series that starts with Rev to the Max. I loved Rev to the Max. I read and gave it 5 stars and recommended it in a recent Kindle Unlimited favorites that I will link to down below that video. But I very much loved that first book, and this is the second one in the series. It follows one of the characters that they mention and are introduced in the first book, so I am intrigued to continue the series. It takes place around a mechanic shop. The hero works as a mechanic in this mechanic shop in this small town. Then the next one that I want to read is Blindside by Candy Steiner. I have not had the best success with Candy Steiner, but so many people love her books, and I really, really like her as a person. I follow her on Instagram, on TikTok, and I love the way that she talks about her books and markets her books, so I really want to give her more of a try, and I think that Blindside is going to be one that I really like. It is a sports romance. It's new adult. It reminds me a little bit of the plot of Blindsided by Amy Dawes. The heroine needs the hero's help as like a sex lessons type situation, which I love. I have a whole video recommending books like that. I love that trope, and I love the TikToks that Candy Steiner has made about this book. I've heard great things about it from some of the people that have read it, like Cheyenne from That Tall Book Girl and Caitlin from The Love Librarian. So I really want to read it, and I think that this one is going to be a Candy Steiner that I actually really like. The next one that I have is Parallel by Elle O'Rourke. Elle O'Rourke, I'm assuming, is Elizabeth O'Rourke, just like a pen name type version. And this one is a time travel romance that Jess from Peace Love Books and Sam from Sam Reads a Little read recently and loved. They both, I think, gave it 5 stars. I know that Jess gave it 5 stars, and I really want to read it. I like Elizabeth O'Rourke's writing. I've read a couple of books by her and really enjoyed them, so I definitely want to read this one. Unfortunately, it does not have an audiobook, but I have not read a time travel romance in a very long time. I think I've only ever read like 1 or 2. So I'm very intrigued to read this, and it seems so interesting and intricate, and I definitely want to read it. Number 8 is Give Me More by Sarah Kate. This is the next book in the Salacious Players Club series that is on my list to read. It's book 3. The first one is Praise, and I loved that, gave it 5 stars. And the second one is Eyes on Me, which I enjoyed and gave 4 stars. So Give Me More is a poly romance, which I love. I love a poly romance, especially when they're MMF, which this one is. And so many people have read and love this already. I am so jealous that I haven't read it yet. But everyone that has read it seemed to absolutely love it. I really, really like Sarah Kate's writing. She's an author who I've discovered this year, and I have really enjoyed every single thing that I've read by her, and so I absolutely need to read this one. The Salacious Players Club series follows a sex club. They like the owners of this like sex kink club each get their own book, and they each have like different kinks, and this one I believe follows a married couple and then the married couple's best friend who like enters into their relationship, which sounds amazing. The next one is 5 Rounds by Nikki Castle. I have to read this. Tori from Novel Life absolutely adores this book. She yells from the rooftops about how much she loves this book, and I just have not gotten to it yet. It does not have an audiobook, which part of the reason why I haven't gotten to it yet, but it's definitely like on there with high priority TBR for books that don't have audiobooks, and it sounds incredible. It is a MMA fighter romance, which I really, really love, and I know that Tori loves this, so I have to read it because I really do love books that Tori recommends. I tend to like a lot of the books that she recommends, so I really want to read this one. Next one is Carnal Urges by J.T. Geisinger. I read Ruthless Creatures by J.T. Geisinger. This is that's the first book in the Queens and Monsters series, and this is the second one. It's a mafia series, and Carnal Urges is the one that a lot of people talk about. I didn't mind Ruthless Creatures. It wasn't amazing for me. I think I gave it 3.5 stars. I enjoyed it. It was all right. But I've heard that Carnal Urges is like absolutely amazing, so I really want to get to it. I do believe that this one has an audiobook, so that's great. but next mafia romance that I read is definitely going to be this one. The 11th book that I have is Catching Caden by Samantha Christie. I have never read a Samantha Christie book before, so she is a new author to me, but this book, Jess, I think, from Peace Love Books was talking about this on a live show. I think it was her and a couple of other people were on a live show, and they were talking about sports romances, and this book came up, and I think it's baseball, and it sounded interesting, so I downloaded it. I honestly don't know much about it other than the fact that it's sports romance, but I really like sports romance, and I trust the people's recommendations who gave it to me, so I want to try it. Number 11 is Flawless by Elsie Silver. I have, again, never read a book by Elsie Silver. She's a new author to me, but this one is fully a TikTok made me want to read it. The author herself was posting TikToks about it, and also Candy Steiner was posting TikToks about this book, sharing it, and I just loved what they were talking about. It just sounded so interesting and so good and something that I would really like. So I downloaded it. Unfortunately, it does not have an audiobook at the moment. I am crossing my fingers that it will eventually have one because it's long. It's like over 400 pages. But I really want to read it. It sounds so good. It is a small town enemies to lovers book, and it just sounds great. Then the next one that I have is The Devil and the Deep Blue Sea by Elizabeth O'Rourke. This one is the second one to The Devil You Know is maybe what it was called. They are workplace romances. And I believe that they're all like wealthy heroes and kind of like asshole-ish heroes. They do all seem to be enemies to lovers, but I enjoyed the first one and I'm intrigued to read the second one, especially because I do have an arc of the third one for the audiobook of the third one. So I want to read the second one before I read the arc of the third one. So this is definitely top priority within the next week or so that I'm going to read because I need to read that arc. The next one that I have is Captive of the Horde King by Zoe Draven. This one is actually an alien romance, and I believe that the hero comes to like collect a debt from the heroine's brother, and the heroine's brother doesn't have whatever he needs to give to this alien, and so the heroine sells herself to the hero, who is the alien, in order to protect her brother, and then the alien takes her as like payment and holds her captive, which sounds great. One of my subscribers actually mentioned this series, commented on one of my videos recommending me this series, and I read the description of this first book and it sounds fantastic, so I'm definitely going to read it. I don't read a whole lot of alien romances, but when I do read them, I tend to really like them because I usually get them as recommendations from other people who really, really like them. So I'm very excited. I do want to read more like sci-fi alien romance, so I am intrigued by this one. And I think that Avery from Ava's romance books has also read this and enjoyed this, so I'm excited about that. Then the last one that I have, number 15, that I have checked out is Redeemed by Lauren Asher. I read the third book in this series. It's the Dirty Air like Formula One series by Lauren Asher. I skipped book 1 and 2. Not interested in book 1 and 2. They just don't seem up my alley. But book 3 I read and really enjoyed. Again, these are recommendations from Tori from Novel Life. She recommended this series to me, and she really liked book 3 and 4. So I just wanted to read book 3 and 4, and I really liked book 3. I did read that one, and this is book 4. This one follows a hero who I believe is in a wheelchair. He was in a crash. He was a race car driver and he was in a crash, and so I believe that this is him coming to terms with the fact that he's now in a wheelchair and can't race anymore. And I believe that he has a romance with someone who is in the racing world. So I am intrigued by this one, and I do want to read more from Lauren Asher, but again, she is very difficult because none of her books have audiobooks. I would love to read some of Lauren Asher's other books, specifically Terms and Conditions, but none of her books have audiobooks, so they are not as priority as some other books. But this one is the Lauren Asher that I'm going to read next, so I'm very excited about that. But that is all of them. I apologize if I was speaking very fast, but that was a lot of books to get through and I don't want this video to get really, really long. So that is all of the books that I currently have checked out on Kindle Unlimited, and I am very excited to get to every single one of these. Thank you to every single person who I mentioned who gave me recommendations for these books. I love getting recommendations from other people. Speaking of, if you do have a recommendation that's on Kindle Unlimited for me, please leave them in the comments and let me know if you've read any of the books that I've mentioned in this video and what you thought of them. I'd love to hear your thoughts. But other than that, that's it for this video. So please like if you liked it and subscribe so you can stick around and see more content from me. But that's going to be it. So I hope you have a great day. Bye!